case it's not clear what happened there, I have a presence sensor that automatically turns on both my lights and my TV as I walk into the room, and sets the amplifier to the input for my Fire TV Cube. But if I lift the record player's lid, it automatically turns off the main lights and switches the side lights to purple for jazz mode. Jazz mode. Nice. It then switches my AV receiver to the correct input for my record player and turns the TV off so that I can enjoy some smooth jazz like the pretentious 42-year-old snob that I am. Nice. When I close the lid, the whole thing reverses, and I'm going to tell you how I achieved all of this and 2 other really cool automations that I think you're going to dig. He said, jazzily. Too jazzy?
Too jazzy?
Yeah, too jazzy.
Too jazzy. Thanks to LinknLink for sponsoring today's video and for sending me their e-remote, their contact sensors, and a few other bits and bobs to have a good old play with. I've used them to create all of today's automations and added some of my existing smart home equipment to the mix for good measure to make 3 really cool automations that you can do right now for as low as 12 quid in some cases. 12 quid. I'm not joking. Check this out. Contact sensors are underutilized in automation. I have in the past attached one to my Xbox controller and had it start an Alexa routine that set my old living room to gaming mode, and that did everything from turning the Xbox on to lighting some infrared candles. And I've been thinking about attaching one to my remote control so that when I pick it up from its resting place, it automatically changes my whole setup to movie mode. You can really add them to pretty much anything to start any kind of a routine without having to use your face hole. You can even do this.
Brown alert. Do not use the bathroom for the next 10 minutes or you will suffer the consequences.
No! Hello! Yes, YouTube, please! Yep, this week it's bodily functions! Well, yes, it's 2024 and I'm a fully grown man, so I'm highly offended and my feelings are hurt. Well, no, this has nothing to do with the sense of humorectomy I had when I was 3. Fine, I'll be back next week, disgusting. For the routine I created, it's just an Alexa routine that says when the contact sensor is closed, set off this series of events, and when the contact sensor is opened, set off another series of events. And you might be thinking, well, how did I actually get the TV to turn on and off? And how did I change my AV receiver to the correct input? And the answer is that LinknLink don't just do a contact sensor for the turntable, they also do a little remote blaster that mimics infrared signals from TV remotes and set-top box remotes and AV receiver remotes and basically anything that is infrared. Once you've got these devices, they are incredibly cheap. It's a simple case of adding the e-remote to your Wi-Fi network by following a wizard, teaching the e-remote all your existing remote controls using another wizard, and then once you've added the LinknLink Alexa skill, you'll be able to create an Amazon Alexa routine that utilizes both those devices by following another wizard. You know, if you keep following wizards, they'll eventually get fed up with you. You shall not pass.
You shall not pass.
That's not a wizard. That's Axl Rose. If you buy the contact sensor and the e-remote through LinknLink, you can do all of this under one roof using the LinknLink app to create the routine. But if you have a third-party contact sensor already, then you could do exactly what I've done and create a routine in Amazon Schmexa. I have to say Schmexa at the end of sentences because otherwise I trigger 50,000 Amazon Schmexas. What? So this is quite exciting. This might look like a very basic remote, but LinknLink have put a little microphone in it and have plans to make this thing a walkie-talkie for ChatGPT. You know how much this thing costs? £3. Because if you buy it as part of the bundle, which is only £15, you get both the infrared blaster and the remote. And this is a universal remote, which means that I can program these buttons to do whatever I like. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. You can't purchase the remote separately anyway, but it is probably worth mentioning that it is entirely reliant on the infrared blaster. You can't buy this thing on its own and make it work. You need this and the infrared blaster to be able to use it. They refuse to explain to me exactly how the ChatGPT function is going to work. I think they want me to study the diagram and go, oh my god, that's exciting. But that's exactly what I've done, and it's probably exactly what we should all be doing, because LinknLink are serious innovators right now, doing some really cool stuff. Yeah, stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed already, I suggest you do that. That's what us YouTubers do, isn't it? Tell you to subscribe. If you do that, then you'll get to see the upcoming episode where I talk about the ChatGPT that they've built into this remote. Motherfucker. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed already, I suggest you do so, because I'll be looking at the ChatGPT functionality once it gets released. The remote, however, is already very cool. I've set the navigation buttons on LinknLink's remote to control the navigation for both my TV and my Fire TV Cube. Both things. Clever. Very clever. No one's ever done that before.
Oh my... He's pretending now that the Fire TV remote can't be programmed as if this is a brand new thing. I hate Paul Hibbert.
Alright, listen. The Fire TV Cube remote is awesome, and it can control both my TV and my Fire TV Cube. What it can't control is my AV receiver to turn the volume up and down on my surround sound system. I should be able to do that with HDMI CEC, but for some reason, my TV and my amplifier hate each other. Very annoying. So, I also have this LinknLink remote, which can control my TV because I can program the infrared buttons, and it can control my AV receiver because I can program the infrared buttons, but it can't control my Fire TV Cube because it's infrared and the Fire TV Cube is Bluetooth or RF or Wi-Fi or something annoying. Where there's a will, there's a way. You see, I have this thing called an FLIRC. If you don't know what that is, it's a USB dongle that can receive any infrared signal from any remote, and it tells whatever you plug it into what to do when that remote signal is fired. I can literally make it type out sentences on my PC using the number buttons on my remote by simply telling the FLIRC which remote codes should type which letters. But more importantly, I can program the FLIRC to control things like an NVIDIA Shield, or in my case, a Fire TV Cube, and I can train it to do this using any remote signal I like. And I've done some crazy things with this. I had it connected to my PC once upon a time, and I had it respond to infrared signals to start computer games on my PC. That's clever, because I could then use a remote control to start the video game, but more importantly, I could use an infrared blaster connected to Amazon Alexa to send the remote code to start the video game, which means I could say, Ashmexa, start Streets of Rage. And now I have a remote that can control both my TV, because it's programmed up to send infrared signals that mimic my TV remote. It can control my Fire TV Cube, because it's mimicking TV signals for my TV remote, and I have an FLIRC plugged into my Fire TV Cube, listening for those signals, and it can control my amp using the volume buttons, because that's what's bound to this remote. Completed it, mate.
Completely, mate.
I'm rewatching The Inbetweeners. So, 15 quid for not only an infrared blaster, but also for a fairly awesome little universal remote control that is currently quite basic, but in future will have ChatGPT functionality through its microphone. That is unbelievably bargainous. I've been using presence sensors around my house for a while now to turn lights on and off. But the other thing that you could do with a presence sensor is switch the whole room down. So you could have it turn off your TV, you could have it turn off your AV receiver, and you could of course do all this using that little LinknLink infrared blaster and basically any presence sensor. You could of course do this in Home Assistant by sending an ADB packet across the network to turn your TV on and off, but this is at least an afternoon's worth of learning and your virginity will grow back. Don't pretend it doesn't. I know. Listen, I use Home Assistant a lot. I know for a fact my virginity grew back, so tell me it doesn't.
I've told you before, I have sex with a lady. It's my wife.
You've seen my wife! Isn't that right, wife? Yes! Yes, it is. Thankfully, there is another option. You can simply create an Alexa skill that says, when my presence sensor detects that the room is empty for 5 minutes, then turn the TV off using the LinknLink e-remote. LinknLink do actually do their own presence sensor, and it's actually really cool. I used it to turn my office on and off, depending on whether I was sat at my desk. It's worth noting that the LinknLink presence sensor is awesome and incredibly cheap, but the range on it is not as good as some of the more expensive options. If you are going to use a LinknLink presence sensor, you'll need it somewhere close to your seating position. If it's across the room, it might not detect you at some point and then turn all your lights off, which will get quite annoying. You can achieve an awful lot with the LinknLink stuff at a very low price tag. If you're interested in buying any of the things I've been discussing today, there are links in the description to all of those things and a couple of others that I haven't featured. They also sent me a motion sensor, which is a button, which I'm looking forward to testing out because I've never seen anything like that. LinknLink are pulling a lot of innovation out of thin air, and I'm really, really impressed with what they're doing. As I said, links in the description if you want to pick any of that up. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, it's thanks to these people that it exists. These are my patrons from Patreon, and without them, I would still be working in a call center. I'm thanking one of them personally every week, and this week is Chris Lydiard, who has been a supporter of mine for 6 years. He was my first ever patron, I think, and so I think it bears saying that I am eternally grateful to him because I get to do this for a living now. If you want to be one of those incredible people, you can do that at either Patreon or even buy me a one-off beer at PayPal, and either way, I'll genuinely love you forever. These are my Facebooks and my Instagrams and my TikToks and my Threads and all the other social medias. Come hang out there and we can be best friends. See you next time. You could add a contact sensor to your toilet seat, and I have no idea where I'm going with this. That's what happens when you don't script your episodes. So that's a cue. That's a reminder for me during editing to put a head slap bit in.